Force 46, the follow-up to the episode with the weak ending. We begin with the green-eyed man going back on what he said about being fine having no character. You know, if you think about it, I do have character. I'm like a cowboy villain, boldly exploring the frontier of a black hole to space god. Yeah, that's it. I believe this guy's full of shit. Fjorzengaard and Troy try to rush the green-eyed man, but he knocks him down easy and turns to Hottie Extra 2. We got another high school girl? Oh, score! Hey there, little one. Wanna nuzzle my leg like a cat?
Get the hell away from me!
Huh. Well, it worked once. Tell you what, I'll give you most of the episode to reconsider. And so the green-eyed man scoots off with Vega, taking with him any point to his appearing in the first place. Boring douchebag has yet another faux heart attack, this time giving him a wonderful dream where Fjorzengaard's switches are flying around trying to kill him. And then the switches combine into another switch that looks like a tooth. And this message on the importance of oral hygiene brings us to the intro, introducing us to the green-eyed man explaining that the Pisces monster hasn't awakened yet, or some crap, to the Vincent Vega who did not ask. He also implies that boring douchebag is in truth the core space monster switch, which I guess would make this one the PlayStation Network crisis. My bad. Meanwhile, later, on the moon, Orko's retconning to Team Fjorzengaard the green-eyed man's ambivalence. He spins it like,
he was leaving you guys alone to make the space monsters stronger, even though you didn't really do that so much as blow them up, usually.
To distract from how little sense that makes, Rainbow Joe comments on how nobody's told him the teacher he had the hots for some 40 episodes back was really a space monster. To distract from how little that distracted from the nonsense, Orko suggests they all go to Team Evil's secret hiding place where they keep all their secret evil space switches. It's called the Trap Zone, and it's also where they keep the logic behind Clawful's puns. Team Fjorzengaard trusts Orko for sharing this information a week after joining the team, so they go to check that out. After a transitional scene where boring douchebag wakes up from his dream about tooth decay, we have to see that. So Fjorzengaard, Troy, and Orko make their way to the school's Harry Potter room of convenient appearance. Meanwhile, simultaneously, Vincent Vega calls up Hottie Extra 2 and tells her he's kidnapped Fly Guy on the off chance she gives a shit. As it turns out, she does give a shit, so she grabs her space switch and runs off to Trap Zone-B. Captain Ass and Queen Bitch try to stop her, but they're no match for her girly shoves. Meanwhile, slightly earlier, we find out that Orko led Fjorzengaard and Troy into a trap. Not intentionally, of course. We can see how surprised Orko is at this turn of events. Surprised enough to fall off screen the moment some space monsters show up to fight. Oh yeah, meanwhile, earlier still, we see boring douchebag finally check out that USB drive that was in Lady Man's office. We learn that it has something on it that we're not gonna see yet. A truly gripping scene. Back to one of the later meanwhiles, Vincent Vega has lured Hottie Extra 2 to Emotional Revelation Beach. There she turns into a space monster that Vega might spare Fly Hoppopotamus. Vega fights her instead of keeping on with the hostage thing for some reason. And then Fjorzengaard arrives. Except that Lucy's there too. Lucy's Satan sense is tingling. Yes, she really has that again. And it's tingling because it's not Fjorzengaard, but Old Man Orko in disguise. It was all part of his master plan. First, Orko, the teleporting magician, would take away Hottie Extra 2 using his car. Then Vega would crash the car and threaten the girl. Orko would confront Vega in a babyface act. And Fjorzengaard, seeing all this as he chances by, would have to let Orko in on his team of pals. After which Orko would find Team Fjorzengaard's hidden moon base, make no use of that information whatsoever, and lure Fjorzengaard into a half-assed trap while Vega lures out the girl, using the Fly Guy she visited once in the hospital for a hostage, and assuming she gives enough of a shit about him to be lured out in the first place. Now you might think it wouldn't matter because by this point the villains would know about the hidden moon base where she'd be hiding, but just going up there would betray the part of the plan that said they wouldn't use that information. So assuming everything goes off without a hitch, as it did, Vincent Vega would challenge Hottie Extra 2 to a fight, and Orko would dress like Fjorzengaard for a second to fuck with her. Even though he'd be busy by this point luring Fjorzengaard into a trap, he can teleport, remember? Although that will only be if subplot section 7-C works out and Vega can steal back the space switch that Orko would have handed to Donna Troy to prove his trustworthiness. Which I'm sure I don't have to tell you would also all rest on Vincent Vega successfully planting his spoon tentacle tracker on Hottie Extra 2, which would be to confront them without rousing suspicion of Orko. It was the perfect plan. And all to get Hottie Extra 2 to press the switch of her own accord, which she actually did much earlier than expected. Still, they did have this whole nice plan together, so they went through with it. Of course, explaining that plan gave enough time for the real Fjorzengaard to show up. Orko, I thought you were my broco, but I guess you're just another dorko. What comes next is the annual beachside Kamen Rider fight between frenemies turned enemies. Both in and out of costume, Fjorzengaard and Orko wrestle in the sand while shouting their feelings at each other and somehow keeping clean. I hate you.
I love me.
Let's make out.
Maybe later.
And on it goes. Troy and Vega try their own homoerotic beach fight, but it just feels like a background thing. So the green-eyed man steps in to stop everything by saying how great he is. Also, seeing that all the Zodiac space switches are gathered, he does that thing he's been meaning to do for a while and opens the void to Space God. As the portal opens, it would seem all hope is lost. But wait, it's the useless Iron Man sub-riders from No. Boring douchebag. Green-eyed man. I believe the USB drive in Lady Man's office told me you'd be vulnerable while opening the void to Space God. Lady Man's office? Wasn't Orko gonna clear that out like a month ago?
Hey, I had to plan how to fake abduct the girl so you could fake blow up my car and I could fake fight you and give up my transformation switch to gain Fjorzengaard's trust and then not really take advantage of it but somehow use it to goad the girl into transforming, which she did like 6 steps too early in the plan.
I believe you were also with me when I found the drive.
You have no idea how hard it is to look directly at you.
You know, fellas, I believe that Rocket Man's prepping to kill me. Force now is indeed getting up, for a real jam is about to go down. He readies his phallic rocket sword, but before he can so much as welcome the green-eyed man to the space jam, Orko flies in his way. And dies. He gets off some dying words, at least.
Oh god, my death was partially caused by boring douchebag.
Out of respect for Orko, Fjorzengaard pretty much gives up saving the world. At least actively. He tries to appeal to the green-eyed man's green-manity. You told me that friends could be assholes, but Orko died a pretty friendly death for you. Oh, don't be silly. He just died for my sake because I'm such a cool guy. Have you seen my red eyes? Crazy awesome. Boring douchebag starts to glow, and the Zodiac switches fall to the ground. They were hovering, by the way. The black hole collapses to show they didn't even try to wreck up the terrain while it was there. For lack of other plans on their end of the world day, the villains leave confused. And shock of all shocks, douchebag faints again. Also, he glows, and that tooth switch from his dream hovers over his body. He's still hard to look at directly. And that's the arc, or 2 consecutive episodes with weak cliffhangers. My thoughts? Florence Olivier and Hottie Extra 2. Not the leggy teacher from the Secretariat arc, not Gyuta Tabata, not even Squealatzi the Nazi Squealer. Those are the ones they brought back. Next time, Force Wars, the tense confusion crisis. Else Force Gigantors. The 46th episode build-up to a giant robot fight. Incident. Imagine canons would be too obscure. Till then, good night and groovy. Groovy.